Hey, Liam Tuffs and Steve Laws. Let's watch some of this. Would you let your daughter date a black man? This is an hour and 10-minute conversation titled, Would you let your daughter date a black man? No, actually. The answer is no.
Do you remember the light bulb moment where you thought to yourself, I'm racist?
Everywhere you go, it's just not England anymore. There's too many immigrants. That's the simple fact. And our people are being demographically replaced. This is our land, not theirs.
He was born and bred here. So were his parents. So were his grandparents. Does he not belong here?
No, it's not personal. It's necessary. If there's no English, there's no England. And at the moment, the direction we're going, there will be no England. Culture is downstream from ethnicity and race. Our culture comes from our people. Would we still have the same culture if everyone in Britain is mixed race? Yeah, your politics is a problem to me. 1 or 2 Africans in your village is more problematic than 1 or 2 Polish. If it's white, it's all right. Brown.
Have you ever had your head kicked in for any of your views?
Flush it down.
Adolf Hitler? So you've got 3 daughters.
Yep.
If one of them fell in love with a black man, what would you do?
Whoa. Asking the tough questions. What if he was a dentist? What if she fell in love with a black dentist?
From change. But we may as well get the ball rolling, start as we mean to go on. If my mum was black, what would you do to her?
In terms
Let's just let's get right to brass tacks. If my mom was black, what would you do to her? Like what, like sexually?
What do you mean by what would I do to her?
Would she be welcome in the UK or would she not be welcome in the UK if you was the leader of a political party that was in power?
If I had my way, no, she wouldn't be. She would be deported. That's my line. Our people should come first. And the mixed race question, although it is a very controversial subject, it is a problem that needs to be addressed. At the moment, it's around 3% of the population, but that grows to 5%, which then goes to 10%, and it is a problem that needs to be addressed. Nobody wants their nation to be like Brazil.
Okay, so we're going to unpack all that sort of stuff further on down the line. Yep. But I just wanted to set the tone of where we're heading. So let's go back. Define, because I get accused of being far right. So the left don't like me because they think I'm far right, and I know that your mob don't like me because I'm not right enough. So people can familiarise themselves with these terms. They may not know the actual definition of them. So you're an ethno-nationalist.
Yeah, that's correct. I'd call myself an ethno-nationalist.
Okay, so define, and we'll abbreviate that to FNAT to make it easier for me to keep it smooth.
Yeah, that's fine.
Define what an FNAT is for me.
So an ethno-nationalist is someone that puts our ethnicity first. That means you understand which ethnicity is, such as the English are an ethnic group, the Scottish are an ethnic group, the Welsh, and so forth. And my position is that that ethnicity belongs to this country. We are the founders, we are the keepers of this country, and that ethnicity should be protected and secured our future.
It's a little bit pedantic on my part, but if it was me, I would just say I'm a nationalist. The ethno part is redundant because that's included in being a nationalist. And anybody who calls themselves a nationalist but doesn't believe that a nation has a racial or ethnic identity is not really a nationalist. Historically, those words were synonyms. When they say nation in the Bible, that word is used to describe ethnic groups. They're like the same word, which is why it's redundant to say you're an ethno-nationalist, because that's what a nation is. It's a tribe. It's a race. Again, it's kind of pedantic, so I'm not like mad at him for not doing that or anything.
That's what I see myself as, an ethno-nationalist. In reality, an ethno-nationalist is actually just a nationalist, but they've added the civic term because...
Okay. That's so awesome. He said it. He said the thing. I haven't watched this. That's great. Shout out Steve Laws. I'm already loving it.
Liberals that just dislike Islam. And then you have the FNAT, which they've now used, which is ultimately a nationalist, but they've used the ethno-nationalist line because it's more focused on ethnicity, but that is the basis line of a true nationalist anyway.
So are you a racist?
Well done.
Some people would call me a racist. I don't shy away from the term. I don't use the term myself, but if you want to call me a racist, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh my God, you've called me a racist. I know what I am. I'm a nationalist. I put my people first. If that's classified as a racist in the modern era, then so be it.
I know that's kind of a weak question because the word's been watered down, but from your point of view, if you was to look yourself, if Steve Laws was to look himself in the mirror, would you define yourself as a racist if you was being brutally honest?
It depends on the context of it. If you're saying, is the argument of, are you a racist and you hate other races? then it wouldn't be no, that would be a no. So I don't hate all other races. I just believe that we have our own homeland and those people should not be in our land. If that makes me a racist by definition, then so be it. But it's not something I would welcome and introduce myself and go, hi, Liam, I'm Steve the racist. That's not something I would use.
Okay, so two people that come into my mind before anybody else, and I do apologise if they're thinking, why the fuck are you using me as an example? I've got a black mate from Oxford called Footlong. We call him Footlong because he's been blessed in that department. Xavier, the life coach, who's a prominent black figure, life coach on the internet. I love them both dearly. So do you think you're more superior to those black guys because of your skin pigmentation?
No. So this is something that's always thrown at us and is always misconstrued and mixed up. We don't see ourselves as above these people. We just want to protect our own people and our own ethnicity and our own race. So I'm a white man, I'm an English man, and to me, those are my people, and that's where I draw the line. I don't see myself superior to any other race, but that doesn't mean that they belong in our homeland or they should be allowed to live here when they was brought over on false pretenses by establishment figures that do not care about our people. They was only bringing them over as cheap labour or for whatever other reason. And that's where I draw my line. So people can use the argument of, but they're black and they work hard and so forth. But to me, that means nothing. It's irrelevant how much money you bring to the country. It's irrelevant what you've done whilst you're here. You are not one of us. And our people are being demographically replaced. So under no circumstances is that okay.
So before I go to your upbringing, I mean, we've got so much to cover.
Your upbringing. Who hurt you? Who hurt you, Steve?
I'm going to try and keep it short and punchy without the debate and the challenge.
Yeah, no, you're cool.
Steve, did you get rejected by a black girl for senior prom? Tell the truth, buddy. Did you fall in love with a black girl and she rejected you?
Because it's pointless if we clash. No one's going to get to know why you've come to the crossroads or, you know, where you are in life if I keep interrupting and saying, I don't agree with that and how about this? So do you think, for example, the Windrush era was a success?
No, the Windrush era were the first illegal immigrants that came into the country. They was never invited. They should never have been allowed in. And the fact that they've been celebrated and put on some pedestal as if they're the greatest generation is absolutely ridiculous. They came over as illegal immigrants. They was not invited. Some of them did work, yeah, sure. But their offspring, the second, the third, the fourth generations, they're the ones running through London in the stab gangs and causing all of the violence in the streets and so forth. These people do not belong in the country and they're not welcome. They may be welcomed by the establishment, but the average person in the street that I've spoken to would happily deport them.
So when you say they're not welcome, because I know plenty of people that do welcome them, that have assimilated with them, that drink and break bread and spend Christmas Day with them, I say them, you know, people of colour, me being one of them. I've got lots and lots of different coloured friends. I'm from Crawley, which is a London overspill, so it's multicultural. Not that I think multiculturalism works, because there has to be a top-tier culture, which is the British culture. So that's sort of me kind of sort of trying to meet you somewhere in the middle there, because I know it's not black and white, no pun intended. But we'll come to all of that. Let's go back to your upbringing, where you're from, what moulded you, school, any altercations, any trouble into teenagehood. I want to find out why you've got these real, we could call them radical views, couldn't we?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's fine. Yeah.
So I actually reject that. I was thinking about how, like, what am I trying to do with my streaming? I was thinking about this yesterday because I made that little throwaway comment about I just do this for the money, which I didn't really mean, by the way. Okay, I want to explain myself a little bit more now, because yesterday I said if I was making $6 million a year, I wouldn't stream. And then I made a little quip about how I just do this for the money. Like, I have to work, I have to be productive. So even if I was getting $6 million a year for doing nothing, I would still work. And I would still do this activism, whatever you want to call it. It's just that I don't think streaming is necessarily the most effective way. Like, I would rather make really good videos that are like evergreen, timeless videos. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't make enough money to support my family doing that. So just so you know, that's what I meant, is that I kind of have to stream because this is like the most bang for my buck, but it's not necessarily what I would want to be doing all the time if money wasn't part of the equation. Having said that, I was thinking, like, what am I trying to do? And like, the thought went through my mind of like, I'm trying to radicalize people, but it's not radical. What we believe is what everybody believed up until the last 0.01% of civilization. You know what I mean? Everybody up until like the 60s thought like this, give or take. So the anti-racism is the radical position. When I was growing up and you learn about communism, you remember learning about communism as a kid. And what people tell you is like, oh, it sounds great on paper that everybody gets treated equally and we all get a fair share, but it goes against human nature. That was like the big line I remember. People are more likely to work hard and invest if it's going to profit them personally. If their work is going to benefit them, then they're going to work harder. So communism takes away the individual and turns everybody into like this sludge, this group sludge, you know? And then anti-racism, though, is the opposite. Anti-racism goes against human nature because it tries to completely individualize everyone and take away the group connections. So that's the radical idea. If you're anti-racist, you're the radical, or whatever term you want to use for it. If you don't want to use racism as the word, you all know what I mean. If you're an egalitarian or a blank slateist or whatever, you're the radical. You know what a good word for it would be? Anti-kinship. You're not anti-racist, you're anti-kinship. You want to take the natural closeness and fondness and the connectivity that I feel for my own people, and you want to sever those connections. That's what you are. You're not anti-racist, you're anti-kinship. I just came up with that on the spot. So bookmark that or whatever, patent that, copyright. That's mine. That's copyright. That's a good way of thinking about it, because that's what it is. You're the radical one. You're radical for thinking that the world is better with those ties and connections all being severed, and we all try to pretend like they don't exist.
Folkestone, normal household, dad, mum, few brothers and sisters. Old man used to raise pigeons, normal upbringing, normal school. So I went to primary school. Everyone in my primary school was pretty much English. There was like the odd Slovak, but other than that, everyone was pretty much English. Then I went to secondary school. That's where I first sort of met like a Pakistani and an Indian. But other than that, very normal upbringing. Had kids quite early, my first child at 19. Now got 3 children, I'm 34. So relatively normal upbringing, nothing sort of out of the ordinary from any other background, really. It's just I see what was happening in front of me in the country and I couldn't stay silent.
Was you ever bullied at school?
No, I was a bit of a shit at school, to be honest with you. I won't go into details, but yeah, I was a little shit when I was younger.
We want details on this podcast, Steve. Give us the details.
Typical council estate kid, basically. Causing shit on the estate, smoking whilst I was younger, getting arrested now and then, like, for nothing major, just sort of like...
Getting arrested now and then.
Something like... Just your average, normal council estate kid, basically.
Because I'll be honest, I did wonder, maybe when you was younger at school, you were bullied by a black man or a brown man or a yellow man, and this is why you formed your opinion. So I had to ask.
No, ask away. But the thing is, there was no...
I mean, it was so obvious. If I was Steve and he's like, tell me about your upbringing, I'd just be like, well, I fell in love with a black girl. She didn't go to prom with me. And then I fell in love with a white girl and a black guy stole her from me. Then I tried to like start a business with my friend and he ripped me off and he was Jewish. And he'd be like, really? Well, this explains a lot. And I'd be like, no, you fucking idiot. I watched the news. How did I get radicalized? I watched the news, you fucking idiot. I opened a newspaper. That's how I got radicalized.
There was no foreigners in my school. So it was all just white kids, other than like maybe like a handful of foreigners in my secondary school. And that they were Gurkhas, like that lived on the army base. And then there'd be like the odd Pakistani. And there was like 2 black kids, I think. So that out of a school of like 1,500 people, there was not many at all. We didn't even really see them until college properly.
And did you exclude them 2 black kids, or did you become friendly with them?
I just didn't speak to them. They was just not in my circle. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, they're black, we can't speak with them. It was just, they're just other. It wasn't because they were black or anything. It was because they were foreign. It was just no one could have anything in common with them. Like, we were all talking about what was on TV the last night, the football clubs in our local area and so forth. And there's these foreigners that are just completely other. And that's how we'd always seen them.
And was there ever a light bulb, or do you remember the light bulb moment where you thought to yourself, that's happened, I'm racist?
No, not really. So obviously I started filming the boats and so forth.
He already said he doesn't really use that term to describe himself, but...
Obviously, I lived in the area, so I was one of the first to expose the migrant invasion and so
what
forth.
year did you start doing that?
About 2019. So going back a while, it's like a whole thing now. Everyone does it now. So it's quite refreshing to see. But back when I used to do it, this is back before like even Farage was talking about it and so forth. And so then I sort of carried on doing that. I sort of started doing that just to prove to my friend that it was happening. He didn't believe that it was getting loaded onto coaches and then taken to a hotel and then so forth. So I went, filmed that, showed that, put it onto Twitter, and I had like 200 followers or something at the time, and it got like millions of views. There was like Piers Morgan retweeting it and stuff. So I was like, okay, people don't know about this. So then I just sort of carried on. And then before you know it, I'm 2 years down the line, still exposing this, going to the camps and so forth. And then I sort of sat back one day and I just see everyone complaining about illegal immigration, barely mentioning legal immigration. And this was the time when it was over 1 million that came over in a year. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I feel like I'm partly responsible for encouraging everyone to just focus on illegal immigration now because I'm the big influential illegal immigration guy. So I sat back and I was like, right, I'm not doing this no more. It sort of timed around the time that the docks was all closed off and no one could actually go down and film because the border force put restrictions in. So by that point, I was just like, I need to move away from the illegal immigration thing because the greater problem is legal immigration and everyone's distracted by a few thousand boats when millions are coming in through the airport.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. That migration on the whole is completely out of control. And it is very easy to distract us with the boats. It's like, well, you know, look at this hand while this hand does that. And this hand is doing far more damage if you really study that hand properly, because, yeah, we need to get our own shit in order. We've got...
Wait, based? So Liam Tuft, he's against the legal immigration? What are we even arguing about? He just wants to pretend like it's not a race issue? Is that all it is? Like, I don't want all these people coming in, but we need to find a way to talk about it where we all get to pretend like we aren't racist.
Enough of our own scumbags. I mean, do you find that within your movement you've got more than your fair share of scumbags, of FNATs, for example?
So there have been the odd person that I wouldn't associate with and so forth. I'm not going to use names and use an opportunity to shit on people, but there are a couple of people that I wouldn't associate with in what you call my movement, just like there are people in your movement that I wouldn't associate with for other reasons. But I wouldn't say it's a common thing. Most of the people that I've met through politics, especially in my position, just care about their country, their fathers, their workers. They just want to get on with their life, but they've been forced to have to do this because they're being demographically replaced in their homelands. There's nothing they can do about it other than speak out and be active.
Yeah, see, I think the West on the whole is culturally superior. But that's my take. I think our culture is strong and should be amplified and should be respected more than any other culture. Certainly if you're going to come and live amongst us. But I have a different take on it racially. I don't think racially we are superior. The colour of someone's skin, for me, I'm colourblind. Do you think that we're racially superior as a country?
Cringe.
I would say racially superior. I'd say we're superior as a country. If you look at the history of the British people and what we've achieved and what we've done over the world, our people are some of the greatest people that have ever lived on this planet. Let's just look at the achievements we've done.
Based.
But that's not to say we're superior in terms of race. But the British people have been more superior than the Polish. Still white. It's not a case of a racial hierarchy. This is where I'm back down to the ethnicity of our people. This is what I focus on. And to sort of portray that as a racial hierarchy is kind of, it's not doing justice.
Based Anglo-chauvinism.
To our position, if that makes sense, because we're not sitting here saying we're better.
Because we're not better because we're white. We're the best of the whites who are the best of the races. So just to be clear, I'm not saying we're racially superior. We're actually better than just being racially superior. Good answer.
Then we deserve to exist. This is our homeland and we have the right to exist here. This is our land, not theirs. But when it comes back to the cultural thing, culture is downstream from ethnicity and race. So our culture comes from our people. If our people do not exist, that culture that you celebrate...
One little ding, this is very minor. I really don't like talking about rights, saying we have the right to exist here. That's a whole can of worms. I would never frame it as that way. Just frame it as like, look, we are English. We need to all band together, get these people the fuck out and rule this island for all eternity. It has nothing to do with rights. Very minor nitpick though.
And say is the greatest would no longer exist. Would we still have the same culture if everyone in Britain is mixed race? We wouldn't.
Well, I've met and know, I'm trying to count hundreds over my
Here we go, the cool nons. Here's the problem, Steve, with everything you just said. I met a non-English person who was cool. Boom, mic drop.
5 years of age, so, you know, I've come across hundreds of people. I've got hundreds of friends. So I run a security firm. So I've worked the door with some solid black lads, and we all think the same, and we all perceive the country as the same, and they're all, well, they're more Christian than me. I'm not.
Yeah, that's great. They can go be solid in fucking Nigeria and Ethiopia and wherever else, Somalia. They can go be solid over there. Those countries actually desperately need solid people, turns out.
Not religious at all, but in fact, if anything, some of my black mates have got better morals than me. So,
whoa,
that's one thing I can disagree with through my own personal experience. For example,
well, fuck having borders and laws and shit.
But you've been the leader of a few political parties.
Not so much the leader, but I have been like a leading face.
You've been a prominent figure.
Yeah.
So without getting into the minutiae of all of that, I want to talk to you about remigration, because that's one of your policies that you really lean into. So what is the actual meaning of remigration? And let's go into just how far you'd be prepared to go.
So remigration is ultimately the process of returning immigrants back to their ancestral homelands. That's the basics of it. It's essentially, you can call it mass deportations, you can call it what you like, but essentially the process is removing immigrants and returning them back to the nation they belong to. That's remigration. How far I would go...
How many generations back do you go?
I don't think it's a case of counting generations. I think it's a case of, if they don't belong here, they should go. I don't think it's, you should go, all right, so we're going to...
It's a 23andMe. That's
it. Fourth generation's fine, because that's just nonsense. Because some of the rape gangs, like if you look at the Pakistani rape gangs, these are third, fourth generation people in our country that many in the civic nationalist circles, the conservative circles, whatever you want to call it, would say these people are British. They were born here. Their parents were born here. Their grandparents were born here. They know no other land, but they're still raping little children. They're still living in their own little bubbles. They're still
collecting
their
welfare
own people, because they're not us.
Yeah.
And they never will be us. You could have
spreading Islam.
20 generations down the line, there would still be a clear divide between them and us. And this is the problem. So if the majority of the country starts flooding in, like we're seeing now, for instance, and we're already around 75% of the population, when that keeps declining, there's going to be more and more problems. There's going to be more third and fourth and fifth generation immigrants that could be problematic. Some of them, sure, they could be sound. They could have a job. They could live a normal life. Like you said, you've probably got friends with them and so forth. I haven't myself personally, but others have. Ultimately, do they belong here? No. Have they got somewhere else to go? Yes. Why are they here? There's no reason for them to be here. My position is total remigration. And until our people are secure and our future is secure, and there is no risk of our people being demographically replaced in our own homelands, my position will always be total remigration. Everyone has to go.
But if my Ghanaian mate Lawrence, for example, he was born and bred here, so were his parents, so were his grandparents, by Lawrence's generation now, my Ghanaian friend, isn't this where he belongs?
I mean, the fact that you're calling him Ghanaian, you're answering your own question. Off to Ghana, bro. He's basically British. Well, you wouldn't call him the Ghanaian then, would you?
Now, because it's all he knows. It's all he's ever breathed. It's what he loves, and it's what he abides by, the British Christian culture of the nation. Does he not belong here?
No, he does not belong here. It doesn't matter how long you've been here, or the time scale is irrelevant. This is not...
This argument boils down to, like, this mistake hasn't been corrected for a long time, therefore we can never correct it.
Your lands, these are not your people. Sure, he's a victim of immigration. It's not his fault that he's been put in this situation. I can understand that, and I can sympathise to some extent. But the point still remains the same. This is not their lands. They're not our people. They're not our problem, and they shouldn't be here. He's only taking part in the demographic replacement of our people. And for you to use the example of he's gone back 3 generations or so forth, I think it was 3 generations you just said?
Just as an example.
Just an example, yeah. This Lawrence guy, I don't know. I mean, maybe sound, he may not, but that's irrelevant to me. The point is that he should be deported, and those 3 generations of families have came over. They've taken opportunities from British people. They've taken homes that could go to a British people. They've taken jobs that could go to British people. They've taken school places that could go to British kids. They're taking advantage, whether they mean to or not. That this is the issue. So our people still have to provide for these people. They still have to look after these people, even if they're working.
So that's the line. So the Poles that I grew up with, love and adore, the Turks, I mean, where I'm from, well, where I moved to from where I'm from, massive Turkish population that we've always been like thick as thieves. They contribute towards the economy. I mean, they've got me out of tight spots in the end.
Kebabs.
We've worked together, we've fought together.
Shawarma
As well.
Yeah, mate, they've all got to go. This is the thing.
Mate, have you tried shawarma?
Nice they are. It's not. I always use the line. It's not personal. It's necessary. And the future of our people is more important than your personal friendship. And I will die on that hill. It doesn't matter how well you know these people, how friendly you are. They are still foreign. We are still being demographically replaced. The future of our people belongs to our people. And without it, there is no England. If there's no English, there's no England. And at the moment, the direction we're going, there will be no England.
What about Frank Bruno and Ian Wright? Would you send them packing?
It was
I would,
football guys.
but
Who are these football guys? Celebrity? I don't even. These fucking UK celebrity. Those are the best non-white guys you can come up with. Who did he say? Bruno?
the thing with immigration, no one cared about a Frank Bruno or an Ian Wright 20, 30 years ago because the demographics were still secure. This is going back to the 90s when we was around, I think it was like 89, 90% of the population.
Boxer.
That's our future secure. People aren't looking over their shoulder thinking, oh, we're getting replaced. We've got rape gangs over here. We've got migrants in hotels over here. The whole thing's been exacerbated now. Nobody really cared about the odd minority back in the day because it wasn't an issue. It's like, oh, look, we've got the friendly black guy. That's how everyone see it. Now, we've got a million friendly black guys. And where do you draw the line? Because you can't just say, well,
some of them aren't so friendly as well, by the way.
that one's okay because he sort of shares our values. That one's okay.
Thought Tyson got stomped. Yeah, it's like I'm not like a boxing guy per se, but I could rattle off a dozen boxer names, but Frank Bruno isn't one of them.
Because he's Christian, but that one's not because he's not Christian. But they all come from the same place and they all do the same things anyway. So it's irrelevant.
What about the Poles, Lithuanians, Germans? Would you send them packing too?
So it's complicated. With the Europeans, it's slightly
Stop being so hasty. Let's see what he says here.
different because they are more culturally similar to our people.
Yeah.
They are even taking aspects away from language difficulties. Like you could assimilate a German within 2-3 generations.
Yeah, they can blend
it would not
in.
really be much noticed in terms of our people, and it wouldn't really, in terms of majorly affect the demographics. Of course, I wouldn't want billions.
Germans are also, even just like genetically, they're pretty close to Anglos.
Millions of Germans coming over, I would say, no, that's ridiculous. But the odd few, that's not problematic. But when you've got non-whites coming over, that creates a problematic issue where the demographic decline is changing. The white population is declining. And these people are very foreign to us. Like Europeans can live amongst each other and be unified to an extent because you're from the same continent, you have similar histories, even if they are complicated. But when you go to places like Africa and Asia and India and so forth, these people are clearly foreign. They're clearly very different to us. And they should not be allowed in. Now, I'm not saying we should let in millions of Poles. I voted Brexit for the very reason to get rid of these people. But I'm not saying the odd 1 or 2 Poles is problematic compared to 1 or 2 Africans. 1 or 2 Africans in your village is more problematic than 1 or 2 Polish people.
Is there a touch of white supremacy about you?
No, I wouldn't say there's a touch of white supremacy. I'd just say I put my race first, I put my people first, I put my ethnicity first. That's before me, before anything else. And if I got in the way of our people being, if I was in a situation where I was in the way and it prevented our people from progressing, I would step back and I'd go, right, I'm done. But I see it as I have a role to play at the moment. Our people need to be woken up. At the moment, they are very much sleepwalking into demographic replacement. A lot of people have kind of like you, like sympathetic views to foreigners, and they think, this person's fine, what about this person, he's Christian and so forth. And the mindset needs to be moved away from that because you have to think long term. You have to think as a collective, not as an individual. And you have to sit back and go, okay, so I'm friends. So let's just use a random example. I won't say you, but a random person.
You can use me.
Okay, so let's just say you. A random person's got a friend who's black. He's from the Congo or whatever and so forth. And you're like, oh, I love this guy. He's great. He sings the national anthem. Like he supports the local club or whatever, right? But that doesn't change the fact that he's still replacing us as a people. It doesn't change the fact that they don't belong here. That doesn't mean that we hate this person. Once he goes home, I wish him well. Hope he has a great life in their own country. But here is a problem.
What are your views on Adolf Hitler?
It's funny when you have a video like this, you always know the comments are always going to be on the side of the racist guy, like every single time. And it's like, dude, nobody actually wants this. This is why, like, I finally gave up on democracy. I finally gave up on democracy when I realized the people do not get what they want under democracy. It just does not work.
I've really been asked that question, to be honest.
That's why you're here.
Some good policies. I wouldn't agree with everything. Probably hugely misunderstood. Wouldn't die on the hill of defending Adolf Hitler, but I would say he's very much misunderstood politician. I'd say a lot of the stuff that he advocated for in the German people would do wonders for our people right now.
What do you think about the Nazi regime?
Pretty reasonable.
Are you for it or against it? Or would you have been for it or would you have been
If
against
I was in Germany in
That's like the same question.
1930s, I would have been straight behind them.
So you would have been quite happy gassing all them Jews?
Well, that's a conversation for another day. I wouldn't
Based.
encourage murdering of any people. But what I'm saying is...
That's definitely a conversation for today.
Okay, so we can go into it.
Oh, you want to bring up the Holocaust? Do you, Liam? He like pulls out a folder. It's like, I thought this might come up. Look at this picture. Wooden doors.
very much doubt the figures on
You
that.
did say nothing's off the
Yeah,
table.
yeah, you did, yeah.
So would you be for the gassing of the Jews if you was a German back in 1936?
No, I don't think we should have to gas people. I'll just say remove them. This is my position, but I very much doubt the credibility of all of
He
that.
pulls out a calculator. I thought this might come up. So let's see. It takes how long to cremate a body?
Information. I'm not saying it's all lies, but I don't think everything's as we heard.
Or do you think the numbers have been exaggerated?
Very much so, yes.
Okay. What about, is gassing one Jew too many?
Gassing anyone's too many. You shouldn't be gassing anyone. Like I very much advocate for the most peaceful solution to fix demographic replacement. The position I advocate for with remigration is very much we're going to return you to your homeland peacefully. There's going to be no harm done to you, and both sides are going to live happily ever after. I'm not here for saying, right, let's just line them all up against the wall and shoot them. That's not the line I would ever advocate for. For one, I'd have my doors kicked off in seconds. And two, I just don't think it's the sort of thing we need to go down the route. British people are never going to get behind something like that, even if that was the solution to the problem. British people are a little bit more moderate, so we wouldn't ever entertain that anyway. So my position is I wouldn't entertain that. I'd push for remigration, a peaceful solution to the demographic replacement. No harm will come to anyone.
What about the 500,000 Sikhs, the British Indians that fought in the World War?
See, a better question than trying to like get the guy to be like, yes, I do want to gas Jews, actually, which is like, you really think he's going to say that? A much better question would be, you think there's leeway for Poles and Germans? What about Jews? Are they also assimilatable? I have no idea what Steve Laws would say to that because I don't know really anything about Steve Laws, but that would be a lot better question. Like, these guys also have white skin, but is there like a special cutout for them?
That defended our shores. What would you do with those people?
They didn't fight for us. They fought for the empire. They fought for their own self-interests as well.
Is that not enough?
No, there's Gurkhas. There's Gurkhas. They fight for us. Most people have a lot of respect for the Gurkhas. But where I come from, the town just over from me, Cheriton, I live in Folkestone, town just over Cheriton, Gurkha stronghold. The whole town is basically Gurkha, and that's because there's an army base there and they serve there. But they're just foreign mercenaries. They're paid to come over and fight for us. That doesn't mean they get the right to our homeland. They should be paid and sent back. That should be the logical solution.
In terms of meritocracy, what have you done for the country that supersedes what the Sikhs or the specific Sikhs done for our country in the world wars?
I don't think you should ever use that argument. So my ancestors fought for this country, for my people to have a future. They didn't fight for it so Indians can come up.
That's so insane. So this racial group fought in the World War that our racial group also. So how do you as an individual have more claim to England than the Sikhs who fought in World? It's like, what the fuck are we doing, man? Really?
Open up a corner shop. Nobody fought for that. Nobody wanted that. If you went back and spoke to all of the veterans, I can guarantee you a good 99% of them would turn around and go, I do not stand for that. I do not want that.
Exactly.
So using the argument of they fought for the country, what have you done, is such a ridiculous sort of analogy. This is my country. I don't have to explain why I'm here. Like, my people fought for this country. My people have bled for this country, and they've done it for a future for our people. And now we are betraying their memory by sitting here and even discussing the fact that Indians should be allowed here.
Yeah. I don't know when this was recorded, but he could have brought up that clip from that Good Morning because it was just Remembrance Day. And they brought that veteran on and he's like almost broke down crying about the state of the country. It's like, why don't you ask that guy if he wants to hand England over to the Sikhs because they earned it?
Have you ever had your head kicked in for any of your views?
No, but I have had a gang of Pakistanis turn up at my house with baseball bats once.
That doesn't surprise me. How did that go down?
I just went down with a baseball bat. The neighbours went out and they ran off in a car. But it could have went a very different way. I've had like numerous death. I get a death threat every day. But no one really cares about that. It's part and parcel of the politics.
I'll
isn't
probably
it?
get them now just for platforming.
Yeah, you may. But
I want to actually, let me interject this. I want to know, am I going to get more backlash for platforming Bonnie Blue or Steve Laws? Put it in the comments. Are you more disappointed in me that I've platformed Steve Laws or Bonnie Blue? Now we'll move back to the serious
Bonnie
conversation
Blue.
because I'm interested. Let's just say I fell in love with a Greek woman. Her father's Greek. She's half Greek. She's lived here her whole life as of her previous family members. I fall in love with her. We procreate. I have a baby. That baby's now quarter Greek.
Quarter?
What do you do with my quarter
Oh, she's half
baby?
Greek? Did
that
he say
wouldn't be
she's
such a
half
mixed
Greek?
race argument because you are two Europeans having a child. That's something that has happened throughout history, and unfortunately, it's something that's going to continue happening. It's not something I would encourage, but it's not something I would turn around and go, okay, we're going to round your child up and sling you out. That's not something that I would advocate for. For one, the percentage on people that actually do that is very, very low. And if it's not encouraged as time goes on, it's never going to be a future issue. But as it stands, it's a very low percentage. I wouldn't even put that at the top of any priority whatsoever.
What about if I fell in love with a black woman and we had a mixed race child? Would you separate me from my child?
I wouldn't separate you from your child, but
How would you deal with that situation?
I would encourage you both to leave if that would be the best option.
If you had the power to make one of us leave, would you?
Yeah, non-Europeans I would.
Okay, so you'd separate a mother from their child if their child was non-European.
No, because I'd let you all go together.
But
That's-
what if the British person had to stay where they are?
But why would that ever be a situation? This is a weird hypothetical where it's
It's just to get inside your mind just how extreme you'd go.
Hypothetically, they might not be allowed into the other country, right? Maybe the other country also is ethno-nationalist, let's say. Let's say every country adopts ethno-nationalism. Then you would have to break up families. And ultimately, what is going to happen with the mixed race people? That would become a self-solving problem, right? Like you could say, in that scenario, the families have to be broken up because those are now the rules. If you're English, you have to be in England. Your Ghanaian girlfriend has to go back to Ghana because those are the rules. And then the kid can stay, but that will be like a self-correcting problem because the kid is only going to really have English people to mate with going forward.
You can take it down to that, like, there are various subjects, nuances in these situations where, for instance, there are people that have been in those situations, and it is complicated. Of course, it is complicated. It's not something that should ever be encouraged.
What, to procreate with another race? Or
To mix race. I don't think it should ever be encouraged because, one, it creates a child of nowhere. They're a child that's not part or parcel of their own people, and they're also not part and parcel of the people. So from the mother, say the mother's African and the father's English, you're no longer seen as English and you're no longer seen as African. You are seen as an other, and it becomes problematic. So this is where a lot of mixed race people have resentment, and a lot of them turn that resentment towards the British people, and they actually promote immigration and so forth. So these people, it is a complicated subject. I understand this, but these people have an inherent bias towards their immigrant parent. I've seen it. You must have seen it. Let's use a prime example. Bob Dylan, I Heard You Want Your Country Back. Half Jamaican, half English. Everyone in the country was calling for his deportation when he was sitting there saying, "Heard you want your country back." He's a mixed race fella. So the public will move to that position when they feel threatened. And this is where the line becomes problematic because the others, whereas you got the immigrant.
Well, actually, the hypothetical of imagine if every single country all became ethno-nationalist at the same time and had a hard line like he's proposing is actually interesting, because then what do you do with those people? Like, hypothetically, they would either have to stay where they are because the other countries wouldn't take them either, or you would have to set up some kind of like Australia style penal colony for mixed race people. Just send all the mixed race people to an island and let them sort it out. What's that island? The Galapagos? We should make that. We should make all the mixed race people go live in the Galapagos.
British, essentially. Even when you fill out your government passport form, it's mixed other. That's what they would be. And unfortunately, these people are victims of immigration. And somewhere along the line, a line's going to have to be drawn in the sand, and that someone's going to have to go, enough is enough. Otherwise, we're going to have a nation that is like Brazil, where everyone's mixed race. There's no inherent culture. There's no dominant ethnic group. That's the direction that is heading in Britain, unfortunately.
Is there any part of you that's scared? Do you fear anything, any kind of attack? I'll give you an example. Now, I know that I'm quite happy to speak out against radical Islam. I'm also happy to speak out against Muslims that don't speak out against radical Islam. It's their moral obligation to call out their own community. And I'm happy to say that, irrespective that I've got Muslim friends. I've sat up drinking and partying.
No, you're just trying to give Muslims an out so they can say, oh, look, most of them don't want to kill us.
And doing...
But if you've been paying attention to anything Steve's been saying, like, that's all irrelevant.
Real haram stuff with some of my friends I've grown up with that are Muslim, and I've had debates with them. You know, they've got a glass of red wine in their hand and a £50 note hanging out their nose talking about the Prophet. I'm like, no, you're not a Muslim. So, and you must know well enough by now that I'm as outspoken as...
Yeah, I bet you've been to some good Coke parties, you and your buddy Tommy Robinson, huh?
Most men.
I bet
and
you
And I know
have.
that I'm a target for a radical Islamist. They'd love to shut me up. But you could be a target for any non-white, essentially.
Yeah.
So how do you sleep at night? Do you fear you could come under attack? And, you know, where do you go from there?
To be honest, right, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. If it happens, it happens. I don't walk down the road looking over my shoulder thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get attacked one day. It doesn't bother me. I'm fully aware that there's an awful lot of non-whites that despise me. They see me as like the devil and they want me gone. But the feeling's mutual. So
Yeah, and they would just be kind of proving your point.
there's not really a problem there. Like I've said, I've had people turn up at my house before. That's only been a one-off, so touch wood, it doesn't happen again. But
a good answer here, though, too, would be like, look, first of all, they would be proving my point that there's like this ethnic resentment. But more importantly, we don't need them to prove my point because our people are raped and murdered all the time, and you just open the news and you see that's happening all over Europe. So a really good point to make would be like, you don't have to be me to be the victim of this inter-ethnic violence, because it happens all the time to just random innocent white people.
Ultimately, it's just part and parcel of politics, isn't it? There's going to be the risk that I'm going to get attacked. I do not fear for it. I have 3 children, so I do fear for their future, but they've had no problems in terms of anything, so that's not an issue. But I wouldn't say I'm concerned at all, to be honest. If I get attacked, I get attacked. It is what it is at the end of the day. It'd be no different than any other British person getting attacked.
Do you fear that you could be a target for murder? Do you think somebody could potentially kill you?
I don't know, maybe. It depends how influential I got in terms of politics. But as I stand right now, I don't think there's people out there that generally want to murder me. If they do, it's just sort of like a throwaway comment. I don't think there's anyone really going to be hunting me down.
Yeah, you see, I think very differently. I think we are living in times now where there's so many radicals plonked amongst us that we're kind of playing Russian roulette. But this is like an illegal and legal immigration thing, but which is a different subject matter.
So what you're saying is there's ethnic tension created by having different races all grouped together in the same place, basically. Got it.
Let me ask you, so let me think of something nice you could say about who's the most attractive black woman you can think of?
I don't think black women are attractive.
Not any of them?
Not any of them.
Any Asian women?
No. White women.
Just white women?
Yeah.
So, for example, if Halle Berry was sat opposite you saying, Steve, let me give you a blowjob, nobody will find out, would you refuse that blowjob?
Yeah, she's brown.
Well, actually, Halle Berry's half white, so I guess she can give me half a toppy. It's okay, so something that's funny, because I saw somebody else post this clip on Twitter. And by the way, personally, I would bite the bullet that there's like attractive people of other races, but that's just me. I wouldn't date them or marry them, but I could say, yeah, there's some attractive people who aren't white. So this is Russell Brand and Mark Collette discussing whether Halle Berry is attractive. And this is from like 20 years ago. And so the joke here is that in like 20 or 30 years, they haven't come up with another example of an attractive black woman other than Halle Berry. Like, she's just like the cornerstone example. How black is she anyway? Hey Grok, how black is Halle Berry?
She's biracial, with an African-American father and white mother. So her skin tone is in a
The one example people keep coming up with isn't even black. And yes, the second half. She can give me half a BJ. The second half, the part with the ending. That's funny.
Africa a bit more.
Millions of Halle Berry.
They got bubble lips, big noses.
Beautiful lips, beautiful noses. Halle Berry, she's gorgeous, man.
I don't think Halle Berry is beautiful, you know what I mean? I just don't find blacks attractive. I don't think a lot of lads do. I mean, you know, you might be able to point out, like, the odd Latino chick that people find attractive, like Jennifer Lopez or whatever. And you know, yeah, they are.
I like black women in general. Nice asses.
I disagree.
Good
I mean,
energy.
You know, I have seen Ricky Lake and I know what it's all about.
Yeah. Ricky Lake.
Grossly obese black women in bikinis thinking they look good. It's not. It's like what I said.
Oh man, smoking in bars. We used to be a proper country, you guys. Smoking in the pub.
In The Guardian, you know, said,
I feel like a lot of our problems would go away if they brought back smoking in pubs. I would take up smoking and drinking again. If I could go sit in a bar and just sit across a table from somebody and smoke a cigarette and drink my beer in the bar. And then I feel like that would relieve, like, a lot of problems in society would just be alleviated by people would start going to bars again. Yeah, I remember smoking a lot in restaurants too as a high school kid. I don't think we necessarily need to bring that back. I do remember like going for coffee with your friend. I don't know why I'm doing this, but it's just because you would sit there for like hours drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes.
what about Lenny Henry? He's got a white wife. And I said, look, it's not ideal, but I wouldn't have sex with Dawn French. Would you?
Yeah, she's got huge tits.
Yeah,
And she's
she'd
funny.
also have to fart regularly for you to find her funny.
Oh, mate. You should be proud that like immigrants want to come and live in this
I'm
country.
proud of my country, but I'm not proud that it's becoming a cesspit. I mean, a lot of people.
You're comparing. That means you're comparing other like ethnic minorities to excrement, mate. Saying it's a cesspit. You're saying they're fecal matter.
Is this Carling?
No, mate. It's they didn't have Carl in here, so we've got you. So we got you a pint of black person's urine.
Excellent.
Such a weird clip. Young Mark Collette and Russell Brand. Russell looks so swarthy here. He does. He looks all tanned. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know why you're so shocked.
I'm just thinking about the comment section now.
The comment section can fire away, mate. If it's white, it's all right. Brown,
You're not having it.
nah.
What about the police? You must have come under attack by the police. You must be a target for the police, surely.
So-
because they must fear that your views will spread further afield, and then they'll have a whole new army of people to deal with on the streets. And remind me to ask you after that question, or if you can remember two questions, could you form an army on the streets, or are you a small minority that are big on X, but you wouldn't be?
I also feel like in the year 2025, there must be like a way you could install good sort of air filtration systems so that the smoking wouldn't bother people that much. Although the smell of the cigarette stink is like part of the attraction.
Very big on the street. So they're the two questions. Are you a target for the police, and could you form a street movement of, say, 100,000 people?
I'll answer the second one first, so I don't forget it. 100,000 people, no. The only person who can do that in the UK is Tommy. I'll accept that. Everyone can accept that. But in terms of a street movement, we can very much build a street movement. We're working on it at the moment. But it won't be 100,000 numbers. I'm not going to lie to you. It'd be at a push a few hundred. That's probably the limit with what we could get out onto the street at the moment. But what I can get out, other people may be able to get out more. But that's probably the best I could get if I really put a lot of effort into it and done it. But in terms of the police, ultimately, yeah, I get a lot of shit. I get arrested at protests. I've had my police knock on my door multiple times. I've been arrested. I'm currently on bail now, but obviously I can't talk about that. And so I do get a lot of shit from the police, but I think we all do, don't we? If you're a nationalist, most people do get shit from the police, especially if you're slightly influential and people listen to you. So it doesn't bother me. They're just doing their job at the end of the day. They're going to be told, right, go and harass that person. Crack on, mate.
Yeah, I think if you...
It doesn't bother me. I mean, I know what he means. He doesn't hold it against the cops, but like obviously the fact that they're encouraged to do that by the top down, that should be a problem. Anyway, that's half the interview. I'm just going to move on. I don't have time to watch the whole thing, but really solid performance from Steve Laws. Really impressed. Had very, very few, if any, real criticisms. So good job. Well done.
If my mum was black, what would you do to her?
That's how he started the conversation too. He's like, let's get right down to brass tacks.